Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jehu,
And I'm Amaris.
and we have been living in our RV full time for going on. I think we're gonna hit a year.
A year in November.
A year in November, but we've been full time living off grid on our 1 acre property in New Mexico for almost 4 months. And what we want to do is give a 90-day review, likes, dislikes, what we would do different, advice that we have for those who are looking to do this. And we want to talk about a little bit of comparison between our imagination and watching a bunch of YouTube and what we thought we knew compared to what you actually learn when you get here and when you're living on the property and off-grid life smacks you in the face a couple times. So we want to go ahead in this video and discuss all of those things. Okay, so for those of you who new here and don't really know much about us and haven't had a chance to watch any of the earlier videos, we are a family of four that downsized from a 1,400 square foot house, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2 bath in the Midwest, bought and sold everything we had, bought a truck and an RV, moved to the Southwest here in New Mexico, lived in an RV park for a little over maybe 6, 7 months, bought a 1 acre piece of property, and then moved onto the 1 acre property, which we're going to talk more about in this video. So first and foremost, a lot of you already know the story about how we came this far, and if you don't, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the video of that in the description. So then that way you can go back and see that particular video about how we even so much as ended up in the full-time RV lifestyle and the why.
Guys, we have a whole video with our road trip from Illinois to here and all the storms we dodged and all that.
Yeah, you can watch that video why Oklahoma will never be a place I would settle. At least, I know parts of the state could be very different, but Oklahoma City, one Sunday, 7 tornadoes, that was enough for me. But we're all here for an update on the property and an update on our 90 days of living off grid, what we think, how it compares to, us watching a bunch of YouTube videos and us having an imagination or our own thought of what things are going to be like to what it's actually like when you really get out there. So throughout this video, you're going to see clips of us showing what the property looked like when we first bought it. So some of you already know that originally we bought a 5 acre property that, I guess you can say it was sight unseen. And then on top of that, I didn't do my due diligence, and they had a lot of covenants that was in small writing of things that you could or couldn't do, basically. And you really just couldn't do anything but look at it for the most part.
We saw it before we bought it.
Did we?
Yeah, remember we did all that land scouting before you purchased it?
Oh, so I guess we did see it.
So much has happened. You probably don't even
listen. All I know is the 5 acres wasn't for us.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times everybody think they're ready for 16, 20, 30, 40 acres, but you'd be surprised how 1 acre could be enough almost. It could be enough.
Yeah, when we left Illinois, our mind was set on trying to get a 40-acre property. And once we bought that 5-acre property, we were like, this is enough. We still don't want more than 5 acres, right?
Yeah, because it's a lot of work. The only way I would get more acres than 5 is just for the sake of managing the distance between neighbors.
Right.
That would be the only reason I would get more than 5. And on top of that, to be quite honest, it could be good to have. Like in a place like here in New Mexico, it could be good to have because you don't have to get a lawnmower and cut 40 acres of grass or nothing crazy like that. So that could be doable. I can see getting 40 acres would be a good one, especially with, down the line, if you wanted to make a family compound or improve. So I'm not against it, but to start off, don't despise small beginnings of just starting off on 1 acre, especially when it's yours. So we can start off with that. So some of you seen our earlier videos of after that 5 acre fiasco, and we talked about that also in the earlier video, that now we went ahead and bought 1 acre. And we found 2 acres, but we went ahead and bought the one, and our my best buddy bought the acre directly next door, Little Southwest Homestead. Shout out to them. So we're neighbors. And again, we've only been out here 90 days. So we're gonna be taking you through the progress, likes, dislikes, what we would do different, advice, and different things of that nature. I don't want the video to be super duper duper long, so we're gonna get right to the point. So we've been living in an RV park here in New Mexico for up to 7 months. Even after we bought the land, we stayed in the RV park. So the first question would be, what made us finally get the courage and move onto the property?
So we had been doing the YouTube for maybe a month or two, and we had a family reach out to us. Um, Will and Stephanie. I don't believe they started their YouTube channel
I
yet.
don't think so.
But they invited us to come, meet them. They were inspired by our, progress we had made with, purchasing the land. And at that time, we were still just doing stuff on the land, but we were not living on the land. When we went to go see them and seen the faith they had, they literally hitched up, moved everything, everything they could bring. And they bought property not too far from us in New Mexico. And I think when we left, we were like, what are we doing?
Listen,
We paying all this money to this RV park.
listen, y'all already see what one of the dislikes gonna be, right? Y'all see us out here burning calories, swatting. So of course, we started our YouTube prior to us moving on to the property, and we pay a lot of attention in the comment sections, right? And we do consider a lot of the advice that's put down there. And it was some advice that was like, just get out there and do it. And it was other advice that had you just like, no, we want to be perfectly prepared, which is impossible. But
And that was our mindset at the time.
and that was our mindset. We thought that we can have so much stuff just ready and it could be perfect and this and that and the third. The couple, our friends Will and Steph, it was just them, they truck, and they RV on their property. And they had neighbors nearby. Wild cows is literally like right there, and
oh yeah,
the 5 to 8 stray dogs running around over here. But they were so happy. Just them, they truck and their RV on the property.
And their family.
And the first thing that popped in my head, like, who are we to tell them anything? And they in a matter already exceeded our experience just from that one move that they made.
Yep.
And I'm just like, if they can do it, we can do it. If they can rough it out, we can rough it out and do it, right? So I want to say it was like right after that drive home back was a whole new level of determination. All we talked about was like, okay, let's go ahead and pick the time. When are we going to do it?
We picked the
Let's
day
pick
immediately.
the day right before we have to pay the next monthly at the RV park.
Yep.
We just going to pull off. We just going to do it. Forget it. We done already made the road. We done already start putting up fencing. We done already met our neighbors and everything else like that. Only thing left is to do it, right? Yep. So then that's when you see I went ahead and I purchased the pec round because I'm like, man, we're going to need some sort of power. And I know we can't afford the biggest power machines and stuff like that, but we can get enough to run everything I need to run. So y'all see the video where I bought the pec round and then I spent a whole day testing it to see how much the RV takes on average, how much my Starlink takes on average, and if I could work remote and all of that good stuff. So that's when you saw that video. But one thing I learned living off grid is everybody's needs is different. What's enough for one person is more than enough for another. And what's not enough for somebody, you know what I'm saying? But if you somebody who's like settled out West OG, my buddy, he has a Tesla. So he got a nice power system because he charges his car, right? His need was different. But then I got a neighbor that's a little bit ways down.
No power, right?
No power. All he got is a power station because all he want to keep charged is his phone and his laptop for when he needs it. Other than that, that's all they need. A lot of the stuff is going to be based on you, your use, your needs, and your lifestyle. So everything else at most is just something to consider.
For us, everybody has their own reasons. I think for us, we do desire to at some point become self-sustainable, and this is our step to get there. if that makes sense, to get there, but we know that's a long way away. Like right now, if the whole New Mexico power went off grid, we would have power. So in a sense, we have, met that aspect for power.
Right,
currently. But we're not there for everything.
For everything, right.
Another thought was we're paying the RV park and we can be putting that money into building up our land.
Right. May 30th was the day that we, mustered up the courage to get out here. Because as she was saying, we started looking at other things, like we were paying monthly at the RV park. Mm-hmm. And for the monthly and electric that we were paying, we're like, that could be put back into the land. Mm-hmm. We have been tested and tried and still being tested and tried.
But right, you guys want to know something? What we said before we left, when we were we decided the date, like literally on the way leaving from that family's house, we decided, okay, we're going to shoot for this date. If we can't make it, we'll do the next month. But we were really shooting for that date. We get closer and closer to the date. And we kept looking at each other like, you think we're ready? Are we ready? Do you really remember? Mm-hmm. We were like, are we really ready to do this? And we both was like, worst case scenario, that truck starts giving us problems. And literally, worst case scenario happened.
Listen, I was like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be okay. Because if things get too rough, we're able to just hitch up and just come on back. That's what we can do. And I'm like, that's it. I'm like, now worse than that is if the truck decided to quit. I don't know what I would do with no vehicle out there off grid. That's what I had said, right? Lo and behold, the Lord was like, well, let's test y'all on worst case scenario, my brother. So May 30th was the day we ended up doing it. We did it. We came, we moved off grid. That was our first night. First night in love. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest. In love. Honeymoon season. Well, I guess it's still a honeymoon season going because I still love it out here. We're going to get to that too. I love it. But she couldn't sleep.
I just kept hearing the coyotes. At night, the coyotes, they sit and be singing and laughing and doing the most. Now I'm used to it. And I look back and I'm like, man, we was freaking out.
Man, them coyotes, y'all, sound like them coyotes sound like a bunch of schoolgirls at the mall. Cracking up laughing after watching something like Not Another Teen Movie or something. Like when you hear them coyotes, you be like, damn, they having more of a good time than anybody else. I want to go, what they talking about? Like, it's hilarious. One comment stuck out to me that sat there and said, they said plain and simple, get out there and you'll figure it out. Yeah. Don't listen to anybody here. Just get out there and you'll figure out what you need. That's what they said. And that's when I was like, that person must live off grid. And of course, when I messaged the person, they've been living off grid for 20 plus years. Oh, wow. So I was like, we're going to listen to them. So that's what made us really pull the trigger. That and then Stephanie and Will's level of faith. So many flies. So next topic, likes. 90 days of living off grid. So far, what are our likes? Mine, I like almost everything. I'm gonna be honest. I love it.
Living his best life.
Anybody who's on my TikTok, you see I come out in the morning and I just show my view. I don't care what kind of day or night you had. It's something about when that sun first hit over the mountains or right before, and that beautiful color orange as it's beginning to rise over the mountain, the coolness in the air, how green everything looks, and you just can't get tired of that. The view in itself relaxes your soul and just has you sit down and take a second and just be grateful of things. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, when I was a kid, we did a lot of gardening and different stuff like that. And so I felt like I was, reconnecting back to the times that I remember where I felt like life was most fulfilling, growing your own food and doing stuff. But I think my biggest because mine gonna just be wrapped up in this. My biggest is how much it developed my character, how much it developed me as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a brother, and how much it just developed my family as a whole as far as relationships, and confidence, right? Because listen, y'all, 7 months ago, or almost a year ago now, I couldn't do really anything. I was a tech nerd and stuff like that. Now I'm working on trucks. I'm building things from scratch that's surviving, believe it or not. Um, I'm meeting some of the most amazing people on the freaking planet. My neighbors who are 3 miles away support me more than the ones that lived across the street or 30 seconds either side of the house. Like, this is some priceless stuff that I'm gonna be quite honest. A giant house with a picket fence and a Mercedes Benz couldn't even come close to. Like, you think that that's the kind of stuff you want, but in actuality, it's the sense of community that you really want. And when you buy those things that have all of that, and I'm not saying there's something wrong with having all that nice stuff. If that's you, that's you. But what I'm getting at is really the sense of community and hoping that it attracts the right kind of people that stuff that you hope that kind of stuff brings is what it is. But for me, this whole thing is it. This whole all this is it for me. Even with the trials and everything else like that, they're not like it was when we lived in the suburbs. You felt like it was gonna be the end, right? Because soon as something happens, soon as I lose a job, up there goes the house. But here, an issue is just another opportunity to get stronger in the area. Like, it changed a lot of things, and then including my health, right? I haven't been on BP medicine since we've been out here, which has been fan freaking tastic. I've been losing the weight without as much effort. And I think for me, it was just an overall quality of life increase and not a decrease.
So, my likes. Um, so I'll say the what's possible is one of my main likes. Is we've been here for what, almost 4 months,
Yep.
and we still haven't really done much with the land.
I think we did a lot.
No, I shouldn't say done much. We haven't, like, we haven't utilized all the space yet, is what I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay,
say.
yeah.
We have this primary area that's right in front of our RV, and the area behind our RV, and we still haven't touched the rest of the land. I mean, we've cleared it and all that stuff, and now we got to clear it again. But what I'm saying is that the possibilities of what we could still do with the property. You know what I'm saying? Um, and my second like is the landscape. Um, you kind of get used to being this open, and when I look to the, what is it, north, whatever direction I look, except right immediately our neighbors, all you see is open land, mountains, and it's like, it's beautiful, and it's something I feel like you don't get tired of. And whenever we do have to go back into a populated area or to a city, I just feel like, man, we are so blessed. Like,
I'll be ready to go. Like, let's get up in here, Los Lunas, wherever cities we going to that's all around us, and I just be like, I'm ready to go. Let's get what we're gonna get. Let's buy what we're gonna buy and get the heck out of here.
yeah, like where we are, it's such a crazy mind shift, I feel like. Because when we first moved here, it was like I said, that first night I was super on alert, super on guard. But now the more I'm here and the more we know our neighbors, we're familiar now. You can see from far away something foreign coming. You know what I'm saying? Something that don't match the area, you can see it and you know, okay, let me be on alert. But it happens so rarely versus in the city or in more populated areas that I wouldn't trade that for nothing.
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't say those words, but I am grateful. I'm super grateful. We went to one area that's off grid, and from when we first scouted that area till now, the area is becoming more populated. You got a lot of people moving off grid now. And we, thank God, hopefully that remains the same. We still are very spaced out from our neighbors, very spaced out.
Yeah.
And even over there, they're still spaced out, but it's just different. It seems more, not cluttered. What's the word?
I don't want to say congested.
It just, once you get used to this open area, any little thing starts making things feel busy, if that makes sense. I mean, when you're in that environment, it doesn't feel like that at all. But once you're used to this and you don't have that, it's you start to see the difference. So that's my main two likes. Is like I said, we still have so much potential of things that we can do and plan to do when things work out with the property. Second is just not being all up on people. We have space in between neighbors, at least what, a mile or two between everybody.
It's quarter mile minimum, and from a quarter mile up, like
Yeah.
the closest person is a quarter mile. Well, so a quarter mile away is the closest neighbor. Quarter mile.
um Other likes is we came out here. Oh Lord. We came out here because when we lived in Joliet, there was so many rules on chickens and um right, you couldn't have a
Right.
certain amount of
You
chickens.
only have 5 chickens. Oh, you can have 5 chickens, but you can't have a rooster.
Oh, is that what it was? Yes, crazy. Also, what was it? The fencing. You had to get a permit just to do a fence. Like, just different stuff that we don't have to worry about here. You see, we can go get some pallets and get some inexpensive material, and we can make something happen out here versus where we were. And so one of my likes is even though, yeah, we can't do just anything we want to do.
Yeah.
There's some things we do need to get permits for, but for the most part, we have freedom to do things on our property. Like you own, what is it? You own land somewhere and you can't do what you want to do on it. And that's not the case here, with exceptions.
Right.
So that's one of my likes. My last like that I would like to articulate, it's a lot of likes, but sometimes it's just hard to think off the top of your head. My last like that I will say is now he has been doing an excellent job figuring out power and all that stuff. Cause y'all, I don't know. He be explaining stuff to me. But now he's got our power to a place where we can actually hopefully soon get us a deep freezer and be able to have meat and things stored, which is a huge deal.
Yes, it is.
It's a huge deal because winter is coming. And yeah, it's a big deal. I think was it Little Southwest Homestead? Because we have chickens with them, right? Or something like that. That they've been raising for us. So we'll be able to, once he slaughters that, we'll be able to have meat stored up. We didn't do good with our garden seasoning, but that's okay because we had other stuff we had to focus on. But that's my like, is that we'll be able to, now he has the power situation set up where now we'll be able to do that farm to table type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll get the garden to a certain place. But winter is coming, so we'll do some gardening, but next year we're gonna probably be way more set up and ready for a big gardening season. I always say seasoning. You know what I'm trying to say though, right?
Yeah. They know what you're trying to say.
Do y'all know what I'm trying to say? Trying to say gardening season. I don't know why every time I say garden seasoning, but y'all know what I'm trying to say.
Biggest like, we're saving money, right? We know exactly where our money is going. So far, the only surprise bill has been the truck. Hemi has been the only surprise kick out behind bill, but it's all a learning experience too. So, like I said, it's hard for me to even call that a dislike or anything because does it get hard when the truck goes down or while the truck is having issues? Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I survived. Like, that was my biggest fear, and the Lord just made me deal with my biggest fear. So now that's not a fear anymore. Y'all get what I mean when I'm saying that? Like, yeah. So hey, pretty good. And the Homestead Angels, again, not just the local neighbors, but those of you all out there. We have met and come across some extremely amazing people. Big wow. You know what I mean? Like I said, a lot of you like to remain anonymous, but some of you don't mind, like Big Sis Anderson, Big Sis County, you know. Seriously, Benji, big time. My brother Benji out here. I know he like. I'll be glad when this dude get his truck fixed, so he can come over here and get this stuff. Be patient with me, Benji. Levi the mechanic, Levi who owns Mike Automotive out here. That has been one of the most amazing men I've ever met. Really, really admire the brother. He is a very fantastic person. Every time you get around him, that's what I mean by the neighbors and people. Every time you get around him, he's encouraging every time, and he always reminds you to remember and consider the Lord in everything that you're doing. That's the kind of reminders and people you want around you. I'm telling you, great. I have met some great and wonderful people here in New Mexico. Next topic, dislike. First thing I'm going to say, the flies. Man, and I think maybe it's the fall season, but usually the flies are kind of, but today it's been like really, really bad no matter where you go. I know. I feel like they was on us over there because of the water, right? Because I know how animals is about finding something to drink. But man, once they get in your RV and stuff, listen, you will become an expert at swatting flies.
Yeah.
We still trying to find the best thing to use for them, but be a lot of flies. Let's see, dislikes. I'm struggling with dislikes.
So I'll tell y'all my dislike.
Here, she good at this part.
I'm good at this part. So my dislike is, oh, that's my dislike.
What?
The sun. So my dislike is this when I struggle to get out here to do projects is because I'm always trying to wait for the perfect time for the sun to not be blazing, and it very rarely comes. You know what I'm saying? Because then by the time it does, not be blazing like that, it's like I've lost my whole day. So that's something I do dislike, but it's the area that we chose, and then the fact that there's not a lot. We still have projects to do to get us more shade and things like that. So that is one of my legit dislikes. But I love
the sun.
I love the sun, but I don't like it sometimes.
I love it. All right, so the next topic we kind of going into is being off grid 90 days. What would we do different, right? How will we prepare differently for this? Again, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's requirements is different. After being off grid 90 days, I definitely would have invested more in solar, just as was suggested. Not saying I would have bought a different Pecron, because to be honest, that same Pecron system, all I needed to do was increase my solar coming in, and it is more than sufficient for the RV. More than sufficient for what we're doing. Now, it's not enough to run the AC, right? The Pecron isn't, but the generator was able to. But the Pecron served its purpose. Now, I feel like I should have bought the soft start system. I feel like I should have got that before we got out here. So then that way you're not obligated to buy giant, crazy, super huge solar setups to be able to stay cool and be comfortable. But with the amount of money I paid for the Pecron, the reason why I say I wish I would have spent more time learning the solar, and I wish I would have spent more time watching videos like the one with Will and the solar guy to get an understanding, and then to have some practice building my own system, is because not only with the price I paid for the Pecron, the extra battery, and the 2 panels, I could have built my own system that was probably 2 to 3 times as more powerful, that would have been able to run the AC and anything I threw at it. When I'm saying built yourself build, like getting the pieces and parts and building it, you will save money significantly on solar if you do it your own, and it's not that super complicated. So one of my things is I do wish that, if I would do different, I would definitely, up my solar game sooner and invest it more in solar sooner in the beginning. Another thing I would have done differently is, what I would have done differently is I would have just got a bunch of T-posts and made the fence in that way. That's something else I would have did differently. Another thing I would have did differently is I would have bought the shed sooner than when I had already bought it. because I think it's very important that if you're the kind of person that works remote and you work from home, I think it's very important for you to go ahead and get all of that kind of stuff situated as soon as possible. That's what's funding your homestead. That is your bread and butter. So I definitely would have done that sooner if I could have did anything different. And then if I could do anything different, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I would have got a different RV floor plan. I really wish we could have been in a position to get that fifth wheel that I saw, but then I would have had to put a fifth wheel hitch on the truck. Um, that's something that I would have done different. But other than that, I like our choice. I like the land that we chose. I like the acre that we chose. And the ups and downs that's happening right now. I like it because, like I said, it's building character and it's building skills that I would have never had if there wasn't a problem that needed to be solved, and I wanted to save money. So that's probably what I would have did differently. So again, invested my knowledge into solar, built my own system, and would have saved a ton of money, and picked a different RV floor plan. Those are the things that I would have done differently. Um, that's it for me. So let's see what she would have done different.
So yeah, I definitely would have picked a different RV plan. So the RV that you choose is a big deal. Depending on your financial situation, you know, everyone says, whatever RV you pick, that won't be your first one. But it depends, like, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't got like money to just throw around, you might be in that RV for a long time. So it would be wise to pick something, that even though it's temporary, that you still feel like you can live in for a long period of time, even if it is temporary. Because like we said, we're almost a year into this RV. I think it's a good layout. And everything like that. We just still do wish we would have picked a different RV. Um, and things were a little bit out of our control though when things started winding down. So I think what we would have done different is we would not have purchased an RV in Illinois. We would have came to New Mexico and purchased an RV here because we still spent money on hotels. So if we would have just got our truck traveled here, and still we would have still been paying for hotels while we were looking for our RV. But I think um if you've been doing your research in terms of RVs and stuff like that, you know that Arizona,
The Southwest just has a better selection of used RVs.
yeah, Southwest has a better selection of used RVs and regular RVs, right? And custom RVs in terms of pricing, all of those things across the board. Um, so yeah, we would have definitely done things a little bit different, but we were still in that old mindset. I think we mentioned this in another video. Mm-hmm. We were still in that old mindset of like, once we sold that house, we felt homeless. Yeah, so I think we were just in that mindset of we don't have any, we're technically homeless at the moment in time. So I think our first mind was like, just hurry up and get something so we don't feel that, that feeling that you feel once you no longer have actually, a place that you consider your residence. But I think we would do that differently, right? Yeah, so we would have done that different, right?
Yeah, I like the hotel experience, to be quite honest. If you look at my TikTok, you'll see I got a reel made of us in a hotel. And then it was interesting watching the cat. That was his experience of being somewhere else and traveling in a vehicle. So it was a pretty cool experience, I think.
Yeah, not the hotel thing, but we were rushing to buy an RV.
Because we wanted to, right, because we wanted to beat winter. So if you can put yourself in a position where you don't have to rush, do that. But it definitely would have been easier to just as soon as we got the truck and we were done camping, just head straight down here and then shop down here. Things are better priced, better shape, and go used if you can. This is my thoughts.
Yeah, and then if you can't make it to the Southwest area to purchase your RV, I would recommend going to RV show.
Yeah.
Because when we went to an RV show, I mean, we found so many models that we were interested in getting. And because we didn't have the money right then and there to go ahead and make a purchase, once we were, it was only a couple weeks later we were ready to make that purchase. Like, we had money in hand. We couldn't locate any of those models anymore for those prices. Those prices were a lot cheaper at the RV show. And I feel like, I'm not sure, but from what I've heard is you can negotiate. From what I've heard, we didn't get the opportunity, but you can negotiate those prices down. Heard a lot of RV owners say that that's why they buy at RV shows. So that's a regret. It's just the RV purchase and how that all played out. We almost felt like not that we settled, but that we had to just hurry up and make a decision, if that makes sense. Another, what are we doing?
Things you'll do different.
Things we would do different. So I think I researched the wrong stuff, you guys. I spent so much time researching the big picture. I feel like I would have spent more time researching the immediate stuff we needed, like water catchment systems. Solar is all him. I probably wouldn't have said and did that, because at the end of the day, like, there's certain things that I can research, but he's gonna make the decisions on those. But being a wife, I feel like if you do a lot of research and you can present certain things to him where he doesn't have to go do it, and if he likes it, he can go with it, you know? So I feel like I would have focused on the baby step stuff more so than the big picture stuff. The big picture stuff I'm talking about is a complete house, a kitchen, all of that stuff. You guys in the comments, let us know. Anyone who is building off grid, let us know what you think about this. Yeah, I just spent a lot of time researching stuff that's going to happen way further down the line. I wish I would. That's one of my regrets, is spending more time on the small stuff. And so I would have done more research on the medical facilities nearby, on all of the emergency situations, how to respond to emergency situations. That's a major thing I would have done different, and had a better setup for natural remedies and responding to those things, because we are off grid. So even if you're the type who you believe in going to the medical facilities and doing that stuff right away, if you're an hour away, you know what I'm saying? Like, you still need to be able to figure out how to respond to certain situations on your own to even get someone to that care in a certain amount of time. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And that was just her thumb. I'm just saying anything could have happened. Anything, like, between me, him, all of us, anything could happen. And so that's what that's one of my biggest regrets, is not doing more research and being more prepared for stuff like that. So eventually the plan is to get certified and stuff like that, but I'm not there right now. But that's something I wish I would have done before we moved off grid.
It's a lot of stuff that you don't know and you won't know until you move off grid. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could plan, you can have ideas. If you're lucky enough to find a YouTube video that goes into things like this to kind of help guide you, or mention some things that may not cross your mind that you need to consider before going off grid, hey, share those. So, and then too is a lot of you mentioned comments about first aid and making sure having all of this other kind of stuff. So, shout out again to the Homestead Angels who sent first aid stuff. We had basic kits, but one of you was wonderful enough to send one for snake bites, just things of that nature, just really getting prepared. And at the end of the day, there's no such thing as being 100% prepared. Unless you got a boatload of money that every time somebody drops something new to you, you can just go out and spend and get. It's a process. It's a slow pace. You're going to be taking your time working up to get into these things. So then you have to prioritize what's the most important. And sometimes you won't even know what's the most important until you get out here. You may think you know, but then once you're out here and you start experiencing things, 1 week, 2 weeks go by, you start to say, dang, I probably should prioritize this or that, right? And understand there's going to be people that don't get it. There's going to be people that don't understand. There's going to be people that think they know because they've been watching videos and imagining it and everything. And I'm here to tell you, what you imagine sometimes won't come close to what it's like until you get there, right? But it can help prepare you in certain areas. But some stuff is just like, you know, you got to make adjustments where you got to make the adjustments, and that's part of living off grid is being able to adapt. You have to be able to adapt, and you have to be ready to learn and pick up a whole lot of new skills in a short amount of time.
I have a question for you. Okay, so let's say somebody asks you right now, how much money do you feel like you need to make the transition to move and live off grid? How much would you tell them? And what would be the top 3 things you would tell them to research?
All right, so we got a storm coming in. So real quick, I would say,
Oh, I blew it down?
yeah, it keeps doing it.
You might hold it?
I would say, something blew the camera down. So I would say, in my opinion, I would say you need 50K if you're single. Single people, 50K. You need to get you a 4x4 vehicle, something with 4-wheel drive, preferably an SUV, V6 or bigger. I would go V8. And you can start off with an RV, whether it be a small RV that's like 16 feet long or something else like that. Those are relatively cheap. You'll be able to, with 50K, to buy a used vehicle, and an RV of that size, probably brand new for 10 grand. I know they got the Colemans, but that'll be about a good, I say 20 grand on that. If I go by based on New Mexico with the land, you can get 1 acre of land for about 3 grand. So you're looking at 23 grand. And then the rest of the money, I would go with a first researching in solar and understanding solar. So then you can make a wise purchase and building your own system. The second thing is water. I know buying water catchment or buying the IBC totes and things of that nature. You know, I would spend money and get water, at least if you're single. 275 gallons, believe it or not, could last you about 2 months if done right. Seriously, living off grid. And then that's how I would do them with the money. Researching, the top 3 things I would research is research, understand, and know how to use solar. Research and understand anything having to do with the rules and regulations and resources in the county in which you choose to buy land and buy acreage. And then the third thing I think that's really important to research is, if you could, I would research facts and things dealing with that particular county when it comes down to wildlife, when it comes down to plant life, when it comes down to all of that kind of stuff. I think the most important thing, solar, water setup, rules and different things about your county. And I would research Facebook groups and different things of that nature so you can find out about who your neighbors is and those people that are around you. I think those are the 3 things I would say. 50 grand and those 3 things, in my opinion. If you're single, if you're not, you can do it for less. We got Frugal off grid. He did it for 6,000, and all he had was his 6 grand in his pocket in his van. So I know the price would vary for each person, but if I was to do it by myself comfortably, that kind of money, because I have enough to put away too while I'm figuring things out. That's why I said it.
The 10 wait, so the 50 grand is for buying for shelter, land, and your car and your solar. Okay.
And you'll have plenty left over. That's if you're single. Now, if you're a family, like we was a family of 4, shoot, we still did it with less than 50 grand, to be quite honest. I mean, that's after we bought the stuff that we needed to buy, because we bought the truck for 24, we bought the RV for 33, because we bought new. If I didn't buy new, I would have much more money in my pocket. Of course, we paid off debts.
How much do you think our solar system
total? We paid about $2,500 to $2,700 for the pet grind, which, to be quite honest, with that same amount of money, I just built the solar system in this shed for like $800. That's more powerful than the pet grind. So again,
and land was like 3,000,
and then the land was 3 grand. So I think, in my opinion,
like 70?
So
no more than that.
So about
More
maybe
than 70, right?
about 70 grand, but it could have been
24 for the truck,
33
for the RV,
right, which makes 57.
Okay.
And then we put 3 on the land, so that
Okay.
makes 60.
Okay.
So we spent about that. But it can be done for less. I'm gonna be honest, it could be done for less. Used RV, we bought the used truck. And then again, if I knew my solar the way I should have known it beforehand, I could have cut that cost on that Pecron and built a system that's more powerful, like I did with the shed, and be in a much better situation. All right. So before we get out of here, um, our little bit of advice. Um, you'll never 100% be ready, right? Sometimes you gotta jump in there and just gotta do it to really see what you truly need. Um, Another thing I would say is that um, living off grid ain't easy, but it is rewarding, especially compared to suburbs and everything else like that. Um, Definitely prioritize solar. Don't be afraid to spend the money and invest. Learn about it as much as you can, and you will save a ton of money learning to build and do those things yourself. If you could start picking up carpentry and all these other skills prior to doing it, and you have opportunity to put those in practice before you make this move, I would definitely go ahead and do that, because the sooner you learn that, the better. If you're a mechanic, you are going to be fantastic off grid. um, Another thing I would also mention too is that um, before you purchase your land, make sure that you research, call the county where you're going to buy the land at, to make sure you have a full understanding of what you can and can't do, what they will and they will not allow. If you can get on Facebook and find Facebook groups regarding the people who live off grid in that area, so you can start learning about your neighbors and be able to ask questions in that group about the potential area that you want to buy in. That's some advice I would definitely recommend doing. And then also just know that you can have a plan together, you can have an order in which you're going to do stuff, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to adapt, because it can and will change based on what happens and based on the circumstances. Because as you live off grid and you begin to experience it, you will start to realize what's truly a need and what's not, what things that people want to see and the things that you actually need, right? And how much. So don't be afraid to do what you have to do for you to make it work. And then on top of that, just know that it's going to be some times that it's going to be rough, and it's okay. You got this. Build a community, build a good network of people that could be there to support you. Because as I said earlier, the worst thing I thought of, or the worst possible thing, is the truck could act retarded once we get off grid. And I thought for sure like I was going to be ahead of the game with maintenance, so I didn't have to worry about it until it did it, right? And but the wonderful thing about that is, once we dealt with that biggest fear, it's no longer a fear. So my confidence level went through the roof now when something goes wrong or stuff just not right. Um, like even now the truck is down because we got to get a new radiator. We're waiting on a few things so we can do that. But we've been put in this position a lot out here lately. I guess that's our biggest lesson and our biggest
We would have kept our cars.
yeah, we would have kept, I would have at least kept the Dodge Nitro. That Equinox, you could burn that crap.
Yeah, guys, so we had two vehicles before we sold the house. And we ended up, pretty much offloading them both. We traded in the Equinox, and the Nitro he offloaded, and we just pretty much came out here with the truck and the RV and anything that could fit in the truck and the RV. So what I would have done different is I would not have kept that storage unit. Right now, currently, we have a storage unit in Illinois that we're paying for, that we just felt like we couldn't bring all of that stuff, but it really wasn't a lot of stuff. The main things that was in it was all of his tools, things that had some monetary value that we didn't want to have to repurchase. So tools, and then keepsakes, things that have been in the family for a long time, pictures, different things of that nature. We would have redid that. We would not have kept the storage unit.
All right, so before we go, the what's next, winter is coming. So we pivoted a bit on some of our projects. One of the things that we got coming is a little wood burning stove we're going to stick in the shed here, my little office there. We're going to give that a shot, try it out. I mean, it runs us up out of a 10 by 10 room, so I'm pretty sure a 10 by 16 will still be pretty sufficient. A couple of other things we need to do is we're going to fast track getting a bunch of firewood. We need to start really making waves on skirting the RV and just really just getting prepared and getting prepped for winter. One of the things we're also going to look for is see if we can get some heat lamps, and then also to see if we can get our hands on some bigger propane tanks. We want to get some bigger propane tanks, and just working on trying to get the stuff we need in order to have some redundancy when it comes to heat and some backup. Like I told you before, the office is going to be like a backup structure. We run out of propane and everything else, and we still need somewhere warm to sleep for the night. My office is going to be it. So we're gonna finish insulating that guy. We're gonna finish putting the walls up. So we got quite a bit to do in a short amount of time. So that's why we gotta hurry up and get this truck done. Like, this truck needs to stop being nuts on us. But yeah, that's it. That's all we got. Like she said, let us know in the comments if you need to know anything in detail. Like I said, we do plan on eventually doing a live so we can answer some live questions and different things of that nature. That's gonna be coming soon. We don't know yet, but eventually. But we're gonna get ready to get up out of here because the wind is picked up. The weather is doing its thing, and we got more that's on its way over toward us. So with that, YouTube, shout out to the Homestead Angels. Shout out to the Homestead homies. What's up with Tony? The kids are really appreciative of their stuff. You gonna tell Uncle Tony thank you?
Thank you for giving me my toys, and I love you, and you're the best friend.
Oh, see that? See? I gotta give me a 3D printer. But with that, hey, see you next time, YouTube.